Now, from Wish TV, your local news source, this is All Indiana Politics.
It's Sunday morning. Welcome to another edition of All Indiana Politics. I'm Phil Sanchez. We could see legislation on artificial intelligence early next year. That's the word from Senator Todd Young after a series of AI forums in Washington. He talked about those forums and the latest in the Israel-Hamas war with our government reporter, Garrett Berquist.
Let's bring in Senator Todd Young. Senator, welcome back to the program.
It's good to be with you, Garrett.
I want to begin with Israel's war with Hamas. You serve on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. The White House says right now 1 American woman and 7 American men are still in Hamas's hands. Do you see any way to get them safely home in the near term?
I know our negotiators are actively working with the Israeli government. We're back channeling through the Qataris, who in turn are in touch with some of the horrific Hamas leadership. And my hope is that we can get those captives loose and get them back safe and sound very soon.
Do you believe that Israel is doing all it can to minimize civilian casualties as the Biden administration has urged them to do? More than 10,000 Palestinians have died since October 7th.
I do. The cynical Hamas leadership in Gaza, and this has not been widely reported, so I appreciate this opportunity. They have located themselves beneath hospitals, 30 feet below ground, in tunnels and in headquarters, which is also where they have located many of their captives, presumably the American citizen you just referenced. So it's going to be very difficult to access this leadership without some collateral damage. And by collateral damage, I mean innocent men, women, and children. And it is absolutely horrific that this has to happen. But I think the Israelis are doing everything they can to minimize the extent to which they're harming innocent people.
Back here at home, you've taken part in several conferences on artificial intelligence over the past few weeks. Based on those discussions, what are the most effective ways in which Congress can regulate AI?
Well, you know, there are all sorts of opportunities with this technology, which is essentially it's a follow-on technology from machine learning, the ability to process massive reams of data and use that data in order to help us make better decisions. This technology is concerning to some people because it has the ability to disrupt our economy and change our lives potentially very, very quickly, including how we fight wars. But if harnessed by good actors and informed by our values, this has the opportunity to make all of us wealthier, to live longer and healthier, to have the benefit of tutors for every child, first in America, then in the world. So all kinds of great opportunities. But some of the risks include getting this amazing processing technology, these algorithms, into the hands of bad actors. Bad actors like one could imagine Hamas, who could use this sort of tool to develop, as we've heard from others, biological weapons conceivably. So how do you deal with something like that? Well, there are various ways, working with others around the world, that we can monitor some of the development of this technology, work with allies and partners to come up with new international rules and norms about their use.
How soon can we expect a legislative package on AI?
I think the first quarter of next year is when you'll start to see a lot of legislative proposals emerge. It's unclear exactly how many committees will be considering those proposals and voting on them, and which ones will become law. But I think the AI Insight forums that I have hosted, along with my Republican colleague Mike Rounds and 2 Democratic colleagues, we have invited all members of the United States Senate and their staff in to hear from the world's leading experts about artificial intelligence, to inform their legislating. And so we're all we're loaded for bear, so to speak, in terms of getting enough understanding this technology to establish rules. Most of the things that people are concerned about when you hear about artificial intelligence are already addressed, in my belief, by existing laws. There are concerns about privacy. We have privacy laws. Our courts have established bodies of precedence over the generation. There are concerns about consumer protection. We have laws along those lines. There are concerns about biasing decisions against particular ethnic or racial groups when it comes to applying for loans. We have those sorts of laws. But applying existing laws to an AI-enabled world could be somewhat challenging. So we'll have to bring on an ongoing basis more expertise into government so that we can get a lot better at this in coming years.
What can you tell us so far about what's on the table?
Well, what is on the table right now is mostly extensive notes from these consultations we've had with all sorts of folks that I mentioned earlier. The philosophy of measuring twice and cutting once is sort of our lodestar as we embark on this challenging effort. We're not going to get everything right, and we shouldn't try and tackle everything early on and at once. We're learning a lot about how these technologies use and how they can improve our lives. And right now, the United States of America leads the way. We have the world's strongest military. We want to continue to lead the way in development of AI technologies and want to make sure that when it comes to our national security, which is top of mind for Hoosiers right now, we aren't undermining, but we're significantly advancing our security through our legislative efforts.
All right, coming up, Indiana gets a new paymaster. We sit down with the new state comptroller. Welcome back. Indiana's new state comptroller says that she hopes to be a resource for state lawmakers as well as city and county governments. Elise Nishala just wrapped up her first full week on the job. Governor Eric Holcomb appointed her after Tara Klutz resigned. The job used to be called state auditor, by the way. Nishala sat down with our government reporter Garrett Berquist to talk about her goals for the office.
Well, I come from local government. I've served as president of the Boone County Council. I was in my 7th year and also served as the president of the Indiana County Councils Association. So I come from a strong foundation of local government, particularly from the budget and finance side.
How'd the interview process go with the governor, and what was it like to finally get that call that you were going to get this job?
Well, certainly it was exciting to have the privilege of serving Hoosiers in this capacity. And the interview process was quite extensive, and rightfully so, to receive an appointment from Governor Holcomb. And there were a couple of interviews, and then, yes, received the call, and very grateful to be able to serve.
As you just mentioned, your resume includes being president of the Boone County Council and president of the Indiana County Councils Association. How will that experience play into your job of overseeing tax distributions to the cities and counties?
Yes, so serving on the local side, we would receive those distributions, and serving as a member of the fiscal body, the county council, we would make the decisions on the budget and appropriating those funds. So instead of being on the receiving end, we are now on the distributing end. And there are so many relationships that I'm fortunate and grateful to have with auditors across the state who perform those functions of receiving that money. And I'm looking forward to continuing to build those relationships in serving them with excellent customer service.
What's your overall vision for this office?
I live by a motto of continuous improvement. So there are ways to modernize even what is already modern for us toward better efficiency and better effectiveness in our processes. So that's always going to be top of mind. And then in addition, Indiana has the very good fortune to be in a strong financial position as a state. So we enjoy healthy cash reserves, low debt, low pension liability, a balanced biennial budget, and a AAA credit rating. And when you compare the financial standing of the state of Indiana to, say, our nation, there is a stark contrast. And so I would like to explore how to potentially team with other states that are in a strong financial position, and then apply the pressure to our federal government to get their financial house in order for the sake of our posterity.
Based on your conversations with county and state employees in your previous job, are there any issues in particular relating to state employee pay or benefits that you want to get started on right away?
Well, they just underwent a salary, wage, and benefits study, which has been implemented. And it's interesting because there are many experiences that have been happening at the state level that have paralleled what we've been doing at the county level. We just did a salary, wage, and benefits study that we've been implementing. In addition, the state is implementing a timekeeping process, which we just did as well. So in some respects, it seems like deja vu coming here to the state with them doing many of the same efforts that we've undertaken at the local level.
State lawmakers are in the middle of a top-to-bottom review of Indiana's tax code. I know you're a few days into the job, but what conversations do you hope to have with them as those changes pertain to your duties?
Well, certainly in my prior position as president of the Indiana County Councils Association, we were at the table for the state and local tax review task force, and I personally was attending those meetings and have a meeting with Chairman Jeff Thompson of Ways and Means scheduled for later this month, and that was in my capacity prior with the ICCA, but I'm certainly keeping that appointment. And but there's a lot of insight that I think we can share with a strong background in county government, particularly pertaining to property taxes and some tweaks that could be made, in addition to making sure that local income taxes are continued to be dispersed by the state versus going to the 92 counties. We really value the state's service in that, and certainly am happy to be a part of that service, serving as Indiana's state comptroller.
You alluded to some potential changes to property tax distribution. Can you give me a little bit more details to what you might be looking for?
Sure. So it's just some minor tweaks as far as the efficiency with which it is run. It's a pretty complicated process, and I've seen that firsthand serving in county government, where we have the county assessor who deals with that on a daily basis. So it's more along the lines of just feeding up some feedback from the county level to the state level on some potential improvements that could be made.
How do you view the state comptroller's relationship with the legislature?
Well, very good. And why not? We are at their service as far as, their deferred compensation as legislators. They receive their paycheck from the state comptroller's office, and certainly want to be available and really, again, at their service to help explain if they have any questions related to payroll or to deferred compensation.
The last few holders of this office have resigned early. Will you commit to serving a full term?
I commit to serving as long as the people will have me. And certainly there's a convention coming up in 2026, and I'll be working very hard to continue to reach out to the delegates in preparation for that. And I would be honored to receive their vote to serve again.
So that means you will be running for a full term in 26?
Running for a full term in 26, Lord willing. Yes, indeed.
All right, coming up, Indiana's Best Political Team talks about the most recent debate and the prospects for an AI deal and more coming up. All right, welcome back to All Indiana Politics as we welcome in two members of Indiana's Best Political Team, Republican Tom John and Democrat Kip Tu. Good to see you both. Let's begin with Wednesday's Republican primary debate. We aired it live right here on Wish TV. Tom, Nikki Haley faced repeated attacks from Ron DeSantis and Vivek Ramaswamy. Between that and her own performance, does this effectively, in your opinion, make her the frontrunner among the candidates who aren't named Donald Trump?
I think she is. I think Ron DeSantis needed to change the trajectory, and he really hasn't. She's continued to be on an upward trajectory. I even query whether Chris Christie, who had a good debate himself, is beginning to line up to potentially be a VP candidate for her or something along that line and coming to her defense.
Yeah, that was pretty noticeable. Kip, how much do you expect the poll numbers for those four candidates to maybe change between now and the Iowa caucus? And how much of a role will this most recent debate play, in your opinion?
It's that the ratings were down, or 4 million people across the country actually watch it, so that's not great for the folks that were on the stage. The fact that Donald Trump isn't there, I think, depresses Republican primary voters' urge to watch something like that. From what I know, it was mostly a food fight, which is also not good. Although Chris Christie, I noticed Chris Christie's Washington Post poll that was published yesterday, post debate, he went up 8 points, which is a pretty big leap after a debate of the people that watched the debate, and everybody else stayed about the same, up or down 1 point. So he made a real move, and his performance, I think, was universally praised. So I think if anybody comes out of this debate with a little bit of momentum, it's probably Chris Christie.
I said it with the panel we had on after the debate. He was clearly the adult in the room that night. Hey, you know what? Speaking of elections, how much of a threat does the indictment of Hunter Biden on 9 federal counts pose to Joe Biden, particularly given Trump's legal troubles? Kip.
I don't think there's any comparison. Hunter Biden isn't in the White House, never has worked in the White House, has never been an elected official. Donald Trump was the president of the United States. All of the activities he's been indicted for, or most of the activities he's been indicted for things that he did while he was president. It's unfortunate that Hunter Biden has been indicted, for him and his family. And the justice system does justice, just like we do with Donald Trump.
All right. Tom, any there?
Well, it's certainly, I don't think, helpful to President Biden. I mean, whether or not he was in the White House or whether he was working in the White House, at the end of the day, it's his son, and there are accusations that swirl around. I'm not saying they're true or not true about the president's connection to some of these things and the conversations that have been had between them. So, I mean, it keeps all of that in the media and is an additional thing. The fact is also, I don't think the rules apply to everybody else that apply to Donald Trump. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but the fact is Donald Trump seems to benefit every time he gets indicted, but everybody else still lives by the standard rules. That's
a good point, Tom, that you bring up. Kip, are you worried about that?
Yeah, I'm worried that Donald Trump gets to play by a different set of rules. It's been his MO for most of his life, and he seems to get away with it. I'm waiting for karma to catch up with the guy, because it hasn't yet.
But I guess my question would be, though, that are you worried that maybe these indictments have actually helped him politically?
I think they've helped in the Republican primary. I think independent voters it hasn't helped with.
Hey, let's turn to the interview that we heard with Senator Todd Young and his work on AI regulation. Kip, this is kind of a rare example of bipartisan cooperation in Washington. Do you agree with Young's assertion that a lot of the protections we need are already in place?
Well, I think that we're just at the very beginning of understanding everything that can happen with AI, and government is usually pretty darn slow about reacting to tech. And so I am heartened that Senator Young and Democrats together are working on this, because I think it's critically important for the future of humanity. But I don't know whether we've got it handled or largely handled or not. I think we have to continually watch this and be adept and be vigilant and be able to move very quickly.
Yeah. Tom, I guess it's easy to say, hey, we already have these protections in place, but AI is changing every single day. Your thoughts?
Well, I think, Senator Young, we are lucky as a state to have him as our senior senator. He's somebody who's been thoughtful. He's somebody who's willing to reach across the aisle, whether you look at the CHIPS Act, where he engaged with the majority leader, whether you look at a variety of other things he's done over time, that he'll say it. If it's popular, if it's not popular, he's always striking to try and do the right thing. And I think his approach in this is correct, that we don't want to stifle innovation with a lot of rulings and a lot of new bills that frankly are passed by people who don't even understand it, don't even know what Google is, much less, Chat GPT. And so I think he is striking the right tone, that we need to do what's necessary. We need to all be on the same page, and it needs to be bipartisan. This is not a partisan issue. It's not a party
Changing
issue.
Every single day. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all the good stuff. We'll see you soon. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thank you. Have a good one.
And thank you for joining us for All Indiana Politics. We'll be back here next Sunday morning at 9:30. You can also find our brand new All Indiana Politics podcast. It's part of the All Indiana Podcast Network over at wishtv.com. Have a great rest of your weekend.